It's a new library.
Time of the day.
So you're the one that said no. So you were smart enough to point to cover that.
What's the least law? It's like a first walk in the guy, so he's okay, he's not way back. Robin!
Mark. Hey.
You guys do shallow?
Oh, I guess it's your turn, huh?
What's the thing, man?
Huh?
You need me to move?
No, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Other people will be coming in anyway.
No, no, no.
There's a bunch. I'm live in 5. I don't know what round. The person you should see like my yeah, and what I'm saying,
Good morning, everyone. They're running just a few minutes late. They're going to be no more than 10 or 15 minutes late. They're on their way down. Very
yeah, that's fine.
left the phone back there? Be for Blaine.
Hey Blaine, how you doing?
How are you?
Good.
Get that mic there.
Oh, put it up here.
Oh, I can do that. One, two, three. I'm a little tall for these mics. I feel like I need to be shorter. Everybody good?
Ronnie said, "Tell again." I can hang it. That will get it. But if I punch a hole and hang it over, this is, but I don't want it to keep falling. You got tape? It's gonna work one way or another. It might work for you, but it's not working for us. I don't want it to keep falling over because it's next to me. There you go. Take it here. That's on that is change. They're ready. I just can't get the brochure stuck on the podium, which is why I asked Mom to stay on 18 to help me. Okay. Okay, so I got 2 minutes and you all come in. And we'll go to what we got. Oh, they're ready. They know what you want. I asked Mom to stay here for this week. Only thing I think of is hose and breaking across the side. Unless we can use this.
So what, you want to try to place your sign on
Yeah,
that?
that's what we were trying, but we didn't want to lose anybody. We spot fired it last time. Yeah, this is not sticking. And I know you did it the last time. Somebody's gonna come out. So which one is it? The new one?
Here. Hey guys, someone had an idea that I loosen my clamp and you put this under
Yeah, I
that
thought they
and
wanted to
hold
just
it.
slide it up under there.
I mean, not all the way, just a little bit, and that will help hold
That,
it.
is that what you're talking about? Just to hold it? Okay.
Oh, thanks. Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody mind if we move that table out in the middle? Thank you. Just cleans up the shot. Yep. Oh, now there's wires everywhere. Oh my God, what was that reflection I just got in my bag? Oh, wow.
My little flashlight back here?
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank everybody for coming. We wanted to do this presser so we could just make sure we talk to everybody at once. As you can imagine, Roderick has been through a lot. He is happy to be home with his family, with his mom, with his girlfriend, his kids. So I wanted to just say that we're going to be brief and understanding kind of everything he's been through. To my my right is Taurus Butterfield. Attorney Butterfield represents Roderick Walker regarding the criminal charges that have been brought against him as relates to his incident with Clayton County Sheriff's Department. To the right of Mr. Butterfield is Jane Lamberti. Jane is partner here at the Cochran Firm Atlanta office with me. Jane is going to talk about the medical issues that Roderick has endured and sustained as a result of his assault and being beaten by Clayton County Sheriff's Department. One of the things that were important to us is to get him out of jail so that we could get medical attention in light of what we saw, not only in the video, but our conversations with Mr. Walker. I also, to the left of me is Roderick Walker. Y'all have seen him, unfortunately, on video being beaten. You've seen his face bloodied up, swollen. This is how he looks today, a week after this horrific incident with Clayton County Sheriff's Department. To the left of him is Miss Juanita Davis, his girlfriend, who witnessed it, along with her children. And to the left of her is Tawana Walker, who saw her son go through this horrible ordeal. As I stated before, Roderick has been through a lot. We wanted him to get the opportunity to come and just let you guys know how he's doing and how he feels. He is not going to talk about the facts of this case. The facts first speak for themselves in the video. We have talked about it over the last week. He has endured a lot of medical issues based on all the things we know regarding that, as well as we have not been able to get the charges dismissed. So it is in his best interest, medically and otherwise, that he's just going to give a brief statement on how he feels. He's not going to talk about the facts. Don't ask him. We're not going to allow it to happen, okay? Before I turn it over to Mr. Butterfield, I want to first acknowledge and thank a few people. First, one of our main goals that we have maintained throughout this process is the first thing is to get Roderick out of Clayton County Jail. We were able to do that because District Attorney Tasha Mosley worked with Mr. Butterfield and our client to make sure we could get a consent bond before the judge, and we commend District Attorney Mosley for that. We hope to continue to work with her office, and we hope and pray that these charges against Mr. Walker eventually are dismissed. We also want to thank District Attorney Paul Howard and his office. As you know, Mr. Walker had an outstanding probation violation. As a result of that, Mr. Howard's office worked with Mr. Butterfield as well to resolve those issues and get him a bond on that. We want to thank Judge Barwick, who allowed Mr. Walker to have a bond. And so we want to acknowledge that as well. We want to thank the NAACP. They've been a very big support to Mr. Walker and his family. We want to thank the In Defense of Black Lives Coalition and other activist groups who have been out here protesting peacefully, marching, bringing attention to this, what we believe in justice. And we want to thank just the whole community. We have gotten a big outpouring from the community for Mr. Walker, for his family. And we want to thank everybody out there that have shown support. Before I turn it over to Mr. Butterfield, there's just a few things I want to address that have come up over the last few days. First thing is, on yesterday morning, it was my understanding, come to my attention that the incident report from Clayton County Sheriff's Department setting forth the narrative regarding the incident with Mr. Walker and the subsequent arrest was leaked to the media and given to the media. That was disturbing to us because we, as his counsel, myself as his civil lawyer, Mr. Butterfield as a criminal attorney, have been requesting and specifically asking for that information from Sheriff Hill and the Clayton County Sheriff's Department. But yet, the media got it before our client got that information. That is disturbing on so many levels. Everything, we got it late last night. From my opinion, everything in that report I will tell you to take with a grain of salt. The video speaks for itself. The report lacks credibility because the individuals who generated the report, Deputy Reddick, was involved in the assault, unconstitutional and illegal arrest and assault of my client. The report, in my view, shows somebody trying to cover their ass. What is interesting to me is the report is dated for September 11, 2020, last Friday. That incident report, myself, Mr. Butterfield went every day down to the sheriff's office and contacted him to get that report. I was specifically told it was not ready and being modified on this past Monday and Tuesday. But the report that you got released says September 11th. What needs to be modified? And why is the date on that report says last Friday when nobody got this report 6 days later? You need to ask yourself, what's going on here? We believe this is another example of an attempt to deflect and cover up what we saw in that video, and they're using an incident report now to do it. One thing is interesting in that report is they acknowledge that they're trying to handcuff Mr. Walker without anything because of a traffic citation. That's not proper, in my view. I also want to address this narrative that's out there and in the report that Mr. Walker was the aggressor. The video, I believe, disputes that. He was being beaten in his head. He was tased, continuously beaten over and over again. They used an illegal, in my view, choke hold on him that almost killed him, similar to what we saw in the George Floyd situation. He was literally fighting for his life. When you don't have an opportunity to breathe, it's similar to waterboarding. You are fighting for your life like you're drowning. That's what you saw in that video. He wasn't attacking them or beating them. He's trying to survive. And I've heard this thing, he's biting me. What you will know is the medical evidence will be that Mr. Walker was bitten. On his right middle finger. I also want to address this attempt by the sheriff and others to point to my client's criminal history. It's not relevant in this case at all. It was an attempt to deflect on what happened that day. Like I said before, nothing he did that day or prior was the reason he was arrested. He was arrested because there's a tactic going on out in Clayton County where they're setting up traffic stops and roadblocks using the old concept of traffic stops to ultimately violate people's constitutional rights. What's more disturbing is how after Mr. Walker was assaulted, beaten, taken to sheriff's office in Clayton County, he was then forced to talk to Sheriff Hill's internal affairs investigators. How does that sound? He's incarcerated, being charged by the people. They come and investigate and talk to him without his lawyers. He is scared to death and intimidated. That is not the way this Constitution is supposed to work. This is not the way anything about fairness. The people who are supposed to protect him at every turn is doing the opposite. How are you talking to our client about what you did to him and you criminally charging him? Then this concept of just not looking out continues at Fulton County Sheriff's Department. As you guys saw, my client is in his jail cell and he's ambushed by a reporter with cameras. Mr. Walker did not consent or allow to anything to happen regarding the interview. How does he get a reporter in the jail, in his jail cell? I can't even go to his jail cell. That sounds crazy, guys. The sheriff has him incarcerated. He has a duty to protect him. Mr. Walker doesn't know anything going on, and all of a sudden a reporter with a camera's in his face. What kind of country are we living in that the sheriffs are allowing this to happen? Then have the audacity to go on camera and talk about his criminal history. This is why it's so much going on in this country. Well, people feel like they don't have a say in what this true aspect of what the American dream is supposed to be about. We talk about making America great. America ain't great for everybody. And we have a responsibility and duty to be a great nation, to take care of the least of these. Mr. Walker has been through a lot in his life. A lot. But we want to focus on and pass out in the media his criminal history, but you don't know what this man has been through and what he's trying to do to be a better father, man, son. And what we do, the people who have the duty to protect him, allow media to ambush him and get an opportunity to embarrass this man. I'm so grateful he had just the concept to just say, I don't want to talk about it and I'm scared. But that could have gone the wrong way, guys. The own policies at Fulton County say you got to be a visitor, you got to be an attorney on the list. How does that happen? We have filed a formal complaint with Fulton County Sheriff's Department asking for those same questions. And if you are responsible media, you should ask the same questions too. Last thing I'm gonna say is, what we've also learned is what happened to Roderick on last Friday has happened to other people regarding Deputy Brandon Myers. Once again, I was never provided that information on who the deputies were involved in this incident until late yesterday. But I am getting reports from the media saying they already know. But let me tell you what I do know about Mr. Myers. Besides being terminated for this incident, and make no mistake, if we didn't have it on video, he wouldn't be terminated. But he's terminated because the world saw what he did. But his partner Riddick, who writes the report that was leaked, is still working there. The report that took 6 days to finally get out. Mr. Myers had only been working at Clayton County Sheriff's Department from our investigation since last November, November of 2019. And in that time, he's had reported 5 other incidents use of force. Now, the interesting thing about these use of force, they all deal with traffic stops. What happened to Roderick on last Friday had been happening by this deputy before. It's no surprise what happened. It's the same tactics that they've been using in Clayton County. He should have been fired before last Friday is my point. We will provide you guys with the use of force reports we know about Mr. Myers. To have 5 use of force reports in less than a year, guys, I do these cases. That's a lot. It just shows that the reason that Mr. Walker was assaulted and beaten and his constitutional rights were violated is because they have a systemic pattern and practice that is encouraged by the Clayton County Sheriff's Department to violate people's civil rights. We are representing, the Cochran firm and representing Mr. Walker will pursue all legal avenues to hold them accountable for that. I'm going to briefly bring up Mr. Butterfield to talk about the criminal case.
Good morning. My name is Taurus Butterfield, and I represent Mr. Roderick Walker on the criminal case. And it was my job immediately to try to get him out of the jail so that he could immediately receive medical treatment for the injuries that he sustained as a result of the beating on September the 11th of 2020. Over the past 7 days, as you heard, we've worked with prosecutors in Clayton County. We thank them, as well as Fulton County, to be able to finally, on last night, get Mr. Walker out of jail and immediately to doctor's appointments. Ms. Lambert is going to talk about the various doctors that he has seen since being released. So that was our main goal, to focus on what injuries he had, mild traumatic brain injury from being knocked unconscious. As far as the case itself goes, it is my hope, opinion, and expectation that once District Attorney Tasha Mosley conducts an investigation, that she will decline to prosecute this case and that charges will be dismissed. As Mr. Williams told you, as recently as yesterday morning, I personally went to the Sheriff's Department to again request a police report that we had been requesting and put in open records requests since Monday. I was given a face sheet, no information. But somehow now, late last night, I received an incident report. And without getting into the merits of the case and the facts of the case, just in case I have to try this matter, I will say that what I have seen so far shows me that this case is weak on the evidence. One thing I would just say is that you all have heard about this Mr. Walker. It's alleged that he didn't have on a seatbelt. I don't believe there's going to be any body cam in this case. I don't believe there's going to be any dash cam in this case. But I want to make it known that we are inviting the investigators to speak with. We have every witness in that car, and we have character witnesses who will attest that on that day, Mr. Walker was indeed at all relevant times wearing a seatbelt. So there's going to be an immediate conflict as to why he was even stopped. And there are some very specific and good reasons why he always wore a seatbelt, and we can't get into those reasons now. But you got one officer who says he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Well, we're going to have 3 fact witnesses who were there to say he was, and additional character witness who says he always did. So we want to invite the prosecutors to be able to speak with these witnesses as they go forward in their investigation. In addition, in this particular case, I would like to call upon the officials in Clayton County, Jeff Turner and the whole Clayton County Commission, to demand that transparency occurs in this particular case. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we have not been given a police report. I was told just yesterday it was going to be 10 days. So I still have not received any information from the Clayton County Police Department. And I'm trying to provide a full, fair, and vigorous defense for my client if he is indeed charged. But why is it that a week into this incident, we have not heard from Sheriff Victor Hill? We need to demand in Clayton County, which is a majority African-American county, the same that we would do if the sheriff was of a different persuasion, that he should be able to come out and talk to the media about, for example, we still don't know why the deputy was fired. I have not been received any information. Why he was fired? What did he do wrong? What did the officer do wrong? We have no information, and we should demand better of Clayton County, that they come forth and give a statement on why the officer was fired. In addition, in these kind of cases, the immediate demands are made for body cameras to be released, dashboard cameras to be released. If those things are out there, why have they not been released yet? If they don't have body cameras and dash cameras, then it's a call right now for the Clayton County Commission to immediately install body cameras on every officer in Clayton County. This was a COBRA unit, a special unit that stopped Mr. Walker. We want not only the special task force units to have cameras, but every officer, because it protects the officers as well as the defendants. So ultimately what we may have here, if there's no body camera, it's going to be a swearing contest. But I'm confident that the district attorney is going to make the proper decision, and it is my hope and expectation and opinion that she declines to prosecute the criminal case. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Jane Lamberti. I'm one of the partners here at the Cochran firm, and I was asked to come in on this case to help get the proper medical attention that Mr. Walker so needed and was denied right at the scene of the crime. Mr. Williams talked about what kind of country we've turned into. This man was thrown to the ground, tased, beaten on his face. He had somebody's knee on his neck so much that he lost consciousness twice, and once in the car. And he asked to go to the hospital, and he was told, You don't need a hospital. You're going straight to jail. He asked for medical care after being beaten and suffocated and was told no. I will tell you, as a result of being thrown to the ground and beaten in the head, he has suffered a mild traumatic brain injury. Also, as a result of the knee being put on his neck, it's likely that that hypoxia also contributed to his problems now. He's having cognitive problems, he's having headaches, he's dizzy. He has suffered likely occipital fractures around both eyes. His left eye is blurry and has double vision. He has neurological injury in his arm. He has injuries on his back. He has a TMJ injury because as his face was on the pavement, the police continued to hit him. He also is suffering from knee injuries that need full physical therapy. He is going to be under a care of both a neurologist, an orthopedic surgeon, and an ophthalmologist, all over a traffic stop that should never have happened. That's all I have to say.
As I stated, I'm gonna let Mr. Walker tell you guys what he was feeling and how he was thinking when this incident, as he was being beaten up on the ground. Go ahead, Roger.
I just want to let y'all know.
You take off. I got it. You take off.
I just want to let y'all know that I was scared and I fear for my life. And I just pray and just hope that it don't happen to nobody else. And I lost conscience. I couldn't breathe. I just pray it don't happen to nobody else. That's all I have to say.
We will take a few questions, but I wanted you guys to know kind of where we're at. As I told you last week, we want to get him out. We have gotten him out. The next thing is to get him medical treatment, which he will continue to do. We work with Mr. Butterfield's office, and Mr. Butterfield's going to do everything regarding the criminal prosecution. We ask anybody that has any evidence or any interactions with Mr. Myers, Mr. Riddick, or anybody at Clayton County Sheriff, please contact the Cochran firm at 404-222-9922. Based on what we've seen thus far in this case and what we've gotten regarding witnesses and people calling us already, we know that what happened to Roderick has happened to others. Our goal in that regard, as Mr. Walker just said, is to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else again. And so we will continue to investigate on Mr. Walker's behalf and to look at all aspects of Clayton County Sheriff's Department and their tactics, this COBRA unit, Mr. Myers, Mr. Riddick, so that we can determine what all his legal options are going forward. We'll take a few questions.
This is from Mr. Walker. Can you tell us any more of what you remember from that day and what you were feeling when you were on the ground?
I just lost conscience.
Yeah. And the reason he doesn't remember a lot is because when you talk to the neurologist and understanding what he's been through, he's going to have lost the memory on some of the things. And so one of the things we as his lawyers want to do is protect him and do the things that the sheriff should have done in protecting him, not only at Clayton County but Fulton. And so, go ahead.
Sean, the two other deputies there, Valentine and Riddick, have you received any allegations of previous similar incidents involving them as you have with Myers, and are you calling for any action against those deputies?
As I stated before, we believe Mr. Myers' termination was appropriate. But now, and we've learned Mr. Myers had prior incidents similar to Mr. Walker's. We now believe he should have been terminated before then. But we also have shown that the individual Reddick, who was in his own report, acknowledges admits to beating Mr. Walker in the head, should have also been terminated. We want that to happen. We want all the officers involved who saw and witnessed this and allowed this to happen, similar to what is going on in the George Floyd case, because you have an oath of office and a duty as an officer to protect and serve. You can't stand by, even if you're not the one beating the citizen, to allow it to happen. So we want them terminated as well. We also want, we humbly request that DA Mosley look into bringing criminal charges against these officers for their actions. As I stated before, Mr. Walker was actually bitten. And we finally ask again that the GBI do an internal investigation of this and stop letting the sheriff do his own work on himself. It is already spoiled. As I told you guys, he's in jail locked up, and you bring investigators to talk to him about your internal investigation of yourself? That don't even make sense.
This is a question for Mr. Walker. At the core of this, the deputies are claiming that Mr. Walker resisted arrest and that he attacked them. And Mr. Walker, if you could...
I already told you he's not talking about the facts of this case. I said that when we started.
Okay.
I told you that.
I
My conversations with Mr. Walker, the evidence that we have, not only his physical evidence and the video, and the witnesses we talked to there, dispute that. Okay?
Williams,
Yes.
do you expect to receive a supplemental incident report from each of the officers involved in this incident, or just the one?
I expected to receive a report last Friday. When you have a case, you have an incident report, the procedure is the officers involved fill it out then. I should have gotten this, or Mr. Butterfield shouldn't got this last week. So to answer your question, I don't know what to expect. All I get is leaked information that goes out to you guys, but doesn't have the courtesy to let myself or Mr. Butterfield know. So to answer your question, I don't know what to expect.
So did you get the incident report?
I got an incident report late last night.
Would you be willing to share that with us?
It's the same one y'all got.
Is it just the face sheet?
I got the face sheet, or Mr. Butterfield got the face sheet when he went down there Thursday morning. The same time I was being told that the media had the full report.
Have you had any additional, can you talk about any conversations you've had with the DA's office about handling this investigation?
Once we resolve the bond issue in Clayton County, the rest of our time has been focused on resolving the other matters to get him out in Fulton County. So there's been no additional contact with Clayton County District Attorney's Office. Again, we thank them for helping us with the consent bond. And again, we want them to know that there are witnesses besides the police officers involved that we believe have relevant information concerning the very important facts of the stop and what the charges are. So we want to just make sure that it's known to the prosecutor that there are additional witnesses that they need to speak with.
Would Mr. Walker's girlfriend or mom like to say that?
You want to say anything?
All I have to say. All I have to say, I'm glad that my son home. That's all I have to say.
Do you want to say anything? Okay. No. I'll take one more question. Anybody? Hey, I want to thanks y'all patience today. Because of the doctor's appointments and things of that nature, we're running a little late, so I apologize for the delay on that. And thanks for coming. We will keep you tuned if we learn about anything else.
One last question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you anticipate filing litigation
I anticipate, based on what I know now, that I'm going to continue to find evidence that shows that Mr. Myers and these officers involved in this have a history of doing this before. I believe the evidence will be that that history or that those tactics come from a pattern and practice that's being taught at Clayton County Sheriff's Department. We believe those tactics violate people's civil rights. We have heard from witness after witness regarding roadblocks, attempts to stop people for this so-called tail light, something to stop you so that they can start investigating you for other stuff. So based on what I've seen thus far and what I hope to get going forward in our investigation, I do believe that there will be litigation regarding Sheriff's Hill, Clayton County Police Department, Sheriff's Department, the other deputies involved in this, and Clayton County. And I won't be the only one. They already got cases. Clayton County, as a community, has already financially been paying for Mr. Hill's actions before this. There's been lawsuits filed and settlements had to happen. At some point, this needs to be about the people of Clayton County and the citizens who travel in and out Clayton County. And so, with that being said, like I've seen before and what I've seen thus far, we probably will be in court. Thank you. I would do this for you guys. I do have some use of force reports. Y'all can get them from up there. Excuse
No, it's all right. You'll have to sit for this bit.
No, I think we, for the floor here in the office, this is conference room, so we should be able to do it inside here. So that's how your text supposed to be sound bite, not to even address any of the allegations. So I'll just adjust the tag there as I'm tossing to it. Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna